Morning, everyone. Good morning, David Atkins, Target Individual. So I'm going to do a video today while I'm feeling good. Well, not feeling good, but better, good compared to what I was. And also somebody had the guile to say 3 days and WTF, which you know what that stands for. They obviously haven't watched my videos. They took it and made a comment trolling my thing like I had only been hit 3 days my whole life. I've been hit 10 years. But the extreme since I started making these videos is out of the ordinary for me, which means, most days I can force through this and make videos. But the last 3 days, and anybody that knows I suffer from heart attacks. But the last 3 days I was so hit and just felt so bad I couldn't do nothing. Nothing got accomplished. But I'm going to start forcing myself even out of that when they get me hit that hard. I'm going to force myself and keep exposing stuff. Okay, this is what we got here is the Red Dawn, 1985, and I'm fixing to read this to you. Okay, and they had a meeting in 1967 and 1985 in Toronto, the elite, talking about their plan to establish a one world government. Does this sound familiar? And globalization. Does this sound familiar, what I'm about to read? You let me know. Okay, but I'm going to start out with a Bible verse like I always do. Matthew 24, 37 and 38. But as the days of Noah, so will also be the coming of man, the Son of Man, my bad. For as in days that were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage until the day of Noah entered the ark. They all thought Noah was crazy because he was telling them something, building the ark, just like they all think we're crazy. We're conspiracy theorists. When we're telling them what's going on with us, how we're being radiated with electromagnetic weapons, and not only us, there's millions that are sick from this stuff that go to the doctor and get told they're sick, and they don't even realize they're sick from this radiation that's being caused. And there's probably millions that think we're conspiracy theorists, we're crazy, when really they're targeted and don't even know it. They claim, oh, well, it's just a little flu, or, I'm just sick. My body just feels like crap. There's something I'm doing wrong. I'm must have it's radiation. But they're too blind to see what's going on. And so, that's kind of like the days of Noah, ain't it? I mean, we're warning people what's going on, and we're basically telling people to be ready for this AI control and how they can track you by your brain fingerprint and your DNA, your bioresonance frequency. They can track you by it. So anyway, let me get to reading. Enough of my rambling. But yeah, Noah was telling everybody, hey, I'm building this big ark. There's fixing to be a flood. They were looking at him like he was crazy. But you know what happened, don't you? He got on that ark and was safe, and the people's like, man, we wish we would have listened to Noah. Noah was the biggest conspiracy theorist there was in the Bible. Anyway, all right, look, this was written in 1985, the second meeting. Now, I'm going to put a link to this in the comments. The description, so you can read 1967. All right, these people are meeting in Toronto. It's called the Toronto Protocols 666. And I'm going to read it. And this is their plans in 1985. Does this sound familiar to what's going on today? Okay, the last 18 years have been 18 years. 1967 was the last meeting. Have been very fruitful for the advancement of our world projects. I can tell you, brethren, that we are almost at the end now. The fall of the nation states is only a matter of time. Quite short, I must admit to you with confidence. Thanks to our undercover agents and our colossal financial means, unprecedented progress has now been made in all areas of science and technology, of which we finally gained control with the largest corporation since the secret meetings with Mr. Rothschild in 1956, purpose of which was to finalize the development and the worldwide establishment of the computers. It is now possible for us to glimpse the establishment of the kind of international highway which all these machines would be linked together. Because as you know, all the direct and individual control of the populations of the planet would be at the very least totally impossible without the use of computers and their electronic attachment to each other in a vast global network. These machines also have the advantage of being able to replace millions of individuals. Moreover, they possess neither conscience nor morality, which is essential for the success of a project like ours. Above all, these machines accomplish without discussion everything that's dictated to them. They are perfect slaves, of which our predecessors dreamed so much, but without having been without there having been able to suspect that one day it would be possible for us to accomplish such a miracle. These machines without country, color, religion, without political affiliation are the ultimate achievement and a tool of our new world order. They are the cornerstone. The organization of these machines in a vast global network of which we will control superior levels levers will serve us to immobilize the population. How? As you know, the basic structure of our New World Order is composed in its essence and multitude of diverse networks, each covering all the spheres of human activity through the entire expanse of the planet. Until now, all these networks were linked together by a common ideological basis that man as being the center and ultimate achievement of the universe. Thus, thanks to all these networks united by link of the new religion of man for man, we're able to easily infiltrate all human sectors in all Western countries and modify the base Judeo-Christian. The result is that today, this man, whether he's part of politics, economics, social, education, scientific, or religious, has already, since our last meeting at the end of June 1967, abandoned its past heritage and replaced it with our ideal of a world religion based solely on man. Cut off as he is now from his historic roots, this man does not wait more ultimately that a new ideology is proposed to him. This, of course, is ours, that of the global community village of which it will be the center. And this is precisely what we'll bring to him by encouraging him to be a part of body and soul of this global electronic network, where the borders of the nation states will have been forever abolished, annihilated to their deepest roots, while this bewildered man will be absorbed in his blind enthusiasm to be part of his new world community by being part of this vast network of computers. For our part, we will see from the highest levers that will be hidden from him to file it, to identify it, to account for it, and to make it profitable according to our own objectives. Because inside this new global community, no individual having a potential of profitability for us will not be able to escape us. The constant contribution of electronic technology will have to assure all of us means to file, identify, and control all individuals of the populations of the West. As for those who will not represent any exploitable profitability bias, we will see that they eliminate themselves through all the local internal wars that we will have taken care to break out here, and by having served us, of the fall of the economy of the nation states, of the opposition of claims of the various groups composing these same states. By the way, this was published in 1995, these two things. This journalist got these documents to this meeting, and it was published in 1995. Okay. Here then is the detailed way which we will proceed between now and 1998 to pave the way for the birth of the world government. And it seems it's taking a little longer to happen, but it's happening. A lot of it has done happen. Increase tenfold to the leisure society. Leisure, fun, activities, excitement, fun, which has been so profitable to us by date, by using the invention of video that we finance and games attached to it. Let us end up perverting the morality of youth. Let's give him the opportunity to satisfy all his instincts now, a being possessed by his senses and a slave to him. We know he has neither ideal nor inner strength to defend anything. He is an individualist by nature and represents a perfect candidate whom we can mold easily according to our desires and our priorities. Besides remembering how easily our predecessors were able to orient all German youth at the beginning of the century by using the disillusionment of the latter. 2. Encourage the student protest for all causes related to ecology. The compulsory protection of this latter will be a major asset to the day we have pushed the nation states to exchange their internal debt against the loss of 30% of all their territories remained in the wild state. 3. Let us fill the inner void of this youth by initiating it from its very young age to the world of computers. Let us use for that its system of education, a slave in the service of another slave that we control. 4. On another level, let us establish international free trade as an absolute priority for economic survival of nation states. This new economic conception will help us to accelerate the decline of nationalists of all nations, to isolate them in various factions at the desired time, to fiercely oppose them to each other in internal wars which will complete the ruin of these nations. To ensure at all costs the success of an enterprise, let us ensure our agents have already infiltrated the ministries of the intergovernmental affairs and immigration of nation states that have laws of these ministries modified in debt. These changes will essentially aim to open the door of Western countries to increasingly massive immigration within their borders. Immigration we will have provoked by having taken care to cause new local conflicts to burst here and there. Through well-organized, orchestrated press campaign, the public opinion of targeted nation states, we will provoke among them a large influx of refugees, which will have the effect of destabilizing their internal economy and increasing racial tensions inside the territory. We will see to it that foreign extremist groups are part of these influxes of immigrants, which will facilitate the political, economical, and social destabilization of the nations concerned. I'm talking about they're opening borders, letting immigrants come in, and I don't have nothing against immigrants that want to come here and work and make a name. I'm talking about they're doing this on purpose. Look at France. Go Google France. It's not going to be on the news. Destroyed, strategically destroyed by immigrants let in to cause protests and stuff, and they went in and destroyed it. Now, there's a difference between people coming here to have the American dream, what you have, whatever you would call it. It's not an American dream no more, but it's better than what they experience in their countries. I'm not talking about that. They're opening borders and purposely have some refugees and stuff coming in here to cause trouble. They're doing it in France. France is destroyed. Go look at France. And I'll try to post a video or something if I can, because I got plenty of videos. Paris is ruined. Yeah. These immigrants came in, and they were refugee immigrants made to cause problems and destroyed France. Okay, the free trade, which is in reality not one because it's already controlled by us at the top of the economic hierarchy. Let's infiltrate the Trilateral Commission, that of the Asia, America, and that of Europe. It will bring discord within the United Nation states by the rise in unemployment linked to restructuring of our multinationals. 7. Let's slowly but surely transfer our multinationals to new countries won over the idea of market economy, such as the countries of Eastern Europe, Russia, and China, for example. We don't really care for now whether or not their population represents a large pool of new consumers. What interests us is to have access in the first place to slave labor, cheap and non-unionized, offered to us by these countries and those of the third world. Besides, aren't their governments put in place by us? Do they not appeal to foreign aid and loans from our International Monetary Fund, our World Bank? These transfers offer several advantages for us. They contribute to maintaining a new population in the illusion of economic liberation and political freedom, when in reality we will dominate them by the appetite for gain and a depth from which they will never be able to escape. Quit. As to Western populations, they will be maintaining the dream of economic well-being because the products imported from these countries will not suffer any price increase. On the other hand, without them realizing it at first, more and more industries will be forced to close their doors because of the transfers that we will have made outside Western countries. These closures will increase unemployment and bring significant loss of revenues for nation states. Now, I don't know if you remember, but in the 90s, my grandpa worked for a corporation named Dana, after he retired from the Navy. Okay, Dana made rubber hoses. Anyway, it was a big corporation. They moved to Mexico. That's what he's talking about. They moved a lot of these. This has already happened. They moved a lot of these industrial things outside our country. Okay, 8. They will set up global economy on a world scale, which will escape completely from the control of the nation nations / nations. The new economy will be above everything. No political or trade union pressure can have any power over. It will dictate its own world policies and will force a political reorganization, but according to our priorities on a world scale. 9. By this independent economy, having no laws but our laws, we will establish a world mass culture. By control, international television, media, we will establish a new culture, but leveled, uniform for all, without any future creation escaping us. Future artists will be in our image, or they will not be able to survive. Gone are the days when the independent cultural creations jeopardize our globalist projects at any time, as was so often the case in the past. I was looking at an interview with two rappers. One of them was named Young Boy. They were talking about how they were told to make records promoting violence. That's just an example. They're even polluting artists, musicians, and everything. It's my way or the highway. Okay, 10. By the same economy, it will be impossible for us to use military forces of the nation states, such as those of the United States for humanitarian purposes. In reality, these forces will serve us to submit recreant countries to our will. Thus, third world countries and others like them will not be able to escape our will to use their people as slave labor. 11. To control the world market, we will have to divert the productivity of its first goal, freeing the man from the hardness of work. we will orient it according to turning it against man by enslaving him to our economic system, where he will have no choice but to become our slave and even a future criminal. 12. All these transfers abroad of our multinationals and global reorganization of the economy will aim, among other things, to increase unemployment in the Western countries. This situation will be all the more achievable because at the start we will have favored the massive importation of basic products within the nation state, and at the same time we will have overloaded these states by the exaggeration use of their population to the production of services that they will no longer be able to pay for. These extreme conditions will multiply by millions the masses of welfare recipients of all kinds, illiterate, homeless. It will multiply homeless, illiterate, welfare recipients. Multiply welfare recipients. You see it going on now. Now listen, I want to tell you something before I go on. 1967 was focused on the kids, pollute the new generation, and even sexual liberation. You got to read the 1967 too. It was focused. Their main goal and what they mainly talked about was destroying the youth. Once you pollute the youth, then it makes way for the 90s and the 2000s and stuff. So anyway, here we're back on 13. By the loss of a million jobs in the primary sector, even the disguised flight of foreign capital out of the United Nations, it will be thus possible for us to put life-threatening social harmony by the specter of civil war. These international manipulations of governments, populations, and nation/states will provide us with the pretext to use our MEI to push Western governments to implement austerity budgets under the cover of the illusory reduction of their national debt, the hypothetical preservation of the international credit rating of impossible preservation of a social peace. 15. By those emergency budgetary measures, we will thus break the financing of nation states for all their mega projects, which represent a direct threat to our world control of the economy. Besides, all these austerity means will allow us to break the national wills of modern structures in the fields of energy, agriculture, transport, new technologies. 17. The same measures will offer the perfect opportunity to establish our ideology of economic competition. This will result in the nation states in the voluntary reduction of salaries, voluntary departures with awards for medals for services rendered, which will open the doors to the establishment of our control technology everywhere. It's already everywhere. They were telling the truth. They wasn't lying. In this perspective, all these departments will be replaced by computers at our service. 18. The social transformations will help us change in debt the police and military manpower of the nation/states. Under the pretext of these necessities of the moment and without arousing suspicions, we will get rid of once and for all individuals with a Judeo-Christian conscience. This restructuring of police and military corps will allow us to dismiss without contest the elderly personnel as well as all the elements that do not convey our globalist principles. These will be replaced by young recruits devoid of any conscience and morality and already all trained and favorable to the inconsiderate use of our technology of electronic networks. At the same time, and always under the pretext of budgetary cuts, we will see to the transfer of military bases of the states/nation towards the organization of the United States. Nations. In this perspective, we will work on the reorganization of the international mandate of the United Nations. From a peace force without decision-making power, we will lead it to become intervention force where the military forces of the nation states will be merged into a homogeneous whole. This will allow us to carry out without a fight the demilitarization of these states so that none of them in the future will be sufficiently powerful, independent, to question our world power. 21. To speed this process of transfer, we will involve the current force of the nations united in unresolved conflicts. In this way, with the help of the media that we control, we will show the people the impotence and uselessness of this force in its current form. Frustration helping to push its climax at the right time will push the populations of the nation states to beg the international authorities to form such a multinational force as soon as possible in order to protect peace at all costs. The forthcoming appearance of this global desire for a multinational military force will go hand in hand with establishment with the nation states of a multi-jurisdictional intervention force. This combination of police and military personnel, created on the pretense of increasing political, social instability inside these states, collapsing under the burden of the economic problems, will allow us to better control Western populations. Here, the excessive use identification of electronic filing of individuals will provide us with a comprehensive monitoring of all the target populations. Number 23, the internal and external police and military reorganization of nation states will allow everything to converge towards obligation of setting up a world judicial center. The center will allow the various police corps of nation states to have rapid access to data banks on all the individuals potentially dangerous for us on this planet. Huh. Now they're even putting people who think don't who see through BS going on these lists. That's part of why most of us are targeted. Not only that, but non-consensual experimentation to roll out even more power for this new world order that's already in place. And I basically say it is too late. It's too late. The stage has been set, and that's why, I deal with my targeting with spirituality. Sure, I am involved in a lawsuit. It's not targeted justice, it's not ICATOR, but I am signed up. But my reality is it's too late. Even if you do win a lawsuit, the technology is already in place. Don't matter. Everywhere. You got chemtrails, which spray smart dust. Everybody's breathed this stuff in. Anybody can become activated anytime they want. They don't even need the smart dust, though. That's just, these chemtrails are different than contrails. Chemtrails linger, contrails dissipate. These chemtrails are going around, spraying the whole world. And another thing, these chemicals in there kill crops. You know what kind of crops they don't kill? GMOs, genetically modified foods. Monsanto Company has seeds of every kind of plant they can plant that won't be affected by chemtrails. But the farmers that go out here with their hard work and plant crops on their own, crops get destroyed by it. And I'm going to go into that's a different topic anyway. All right, the center will allow the various police corps not to have rapid access to data banks on all individuals politically dangerous for this planet. This was in 1985. During the growth accepted by all these new necessities, it will be imperative to complete as soon as possible global control of firearms within the territories of nation states. To do this, we will accelerate the Alpha Plan, implemented during the 1960s by some of our predecessors. This plan originally had two objectives, which had remained the same today. By the intervention of crazy shooters, create a climate of insecurity in the population to bring about tighter control of firearms fire during the act of violence in such a way to blame them on religious extremists or people affiliated with traditional religious allegiances, or even people claiming to have privileged communications with God, B2K. Today, in order to accelerate this gun control, we will be able to use the following economic conditions of the nation states will bring with it a complete destabilization of the social, therefore increased violence. I do not need to remind you nor to demonstrate to you, brothers, the foundation of this control of firearms. Without it, it would be almost impossible for us to bring the population of targeted states to their knees. Remember how successful our predecessors were able to control Germany in 1930 with the new laws implemented at the time. Laws, moreover, on which are based current laws of the nation states for the same control. And this is the last step, and I'm going to end it. But I have a question to raise from you. As powerful as these weapons are, these direct energy weapons, these laser weapons, will guns even be worth anything soon? Will anybody even be able to protect themselves with guns? Or will these weapons be so powerful they can use unmanned drones and not even get dirty in combat and kill us all? It's just a question. You can answer yourself. Okay. 25. The last steps refer to the Omega phase, experienced from the experiments carried out at the beginning of the 1970s. They contain the application on the world scale electromagnetic weapons, climate change, resulting in destruction of crops, bankruptcy under these conditions of agricultural land, the denaturing by artificial means of commonly consumed foodstuffs, the poisoning of nature through excessive and thoughtless exploitation, and the massive use of chemicals in agriculture. All this, brethren, will lead to the sure ruin of food industries of the nation/states. The future of population control of these states passes obligatory by the absolute control by us of the food production on a world scale and by the takeover of the main food routes of the planet. To do this, it's necessary to use electromagnetic, among other things, to destabilize the climates of the most agriculturally productive states. As for the poisoning of nature, it will be all the more accelerated as the increase in populations will push it to it without restriction. The use of electromagnetic to cause earthquakes in the most important industrial region of the nation states will contribute to accelerate the economic fall of the states most threatening for us, as well to amplify the under obligation of establishment of a new world order. Who can suspect us? Who will be able to suspect the means used? Those who dare stand up against us by disseminating information about the existence and content of our conspiracy will become suspect in the eyes of the authorities of their nation and their population. Thanks to the de-information, the lie, the hypocrisy, and the individualism that we have created within the peoples of the nation states, man has become an enemy for man. Thus, the independent individuals who are most dangerous for us, precisely because of their freedom, will be considered by their fellows as being enemies and not liberators. The slavery of the children, the plunder of the wealth of the third world, unemployment, propaganda for liberation of drugs, the brutalization of the youth of the nations, the ideology of respect for the individual liberty disseminated within of the Judeo-Christian churches and within the nation states, obscurantism considered as a basis of pride in our ethnic conflicts and our latest achievement, budgetary restrictions. All this allows us at last to see the ancestral accomplishment of our dream, that of the establishment of the New World Order. Our New World Order in the document. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. But listen, before I close, Putin banned GMOs, and matter of fact said anybody in Russia caught growing GMOs will be jailed and labeled as a terrorist. So you tell me these GMOs ain't killing us. So anyway, God bless y'all. I'm glad I got the energy to do this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go ahead and produce the video. Just if you don't see the link to this, website in the description, please let me know because I probably forgot to put it in there because I have to now process the video and all that, and they've been messing with my memory pretty hard. But anyway, God bless y'all. Y'all have a good day. Tell me what you think. Oh yeah, like and share this because this is important. And if this is in 1985. The first one was 1967. You ought to read that. I wonder if they've ever met again after that. I'm sure they have. I would like to be a fly on the wall in that conversation.